hit a deer with my new motorcycle. Let's talk about that. So, it was about 2 weeks ago from today, 7th of July. I was riding my new to me Suzuki V strom, DL 650. Had just bought it a week prior, basically. And was on my way to work, and I hit a deer. I'll get into the details of the accident a little more here in just a minute, but needless to say, I'm in a sling at the moment. I was okay. I got up right after the accident, called 911 myself. I have a broken collarbone, or I had a broken collarbone. I've had surgery to repair the positioning of the bones at this point. And I am ultimately fine. Still dealing with just some residual soreness, tightness, things like that from the accident, but otherwise I came out very well from the whole experience. But let's get into that. Thanks for being here. Obviously, this isn't my normal content, but I'm going to try to come up with a few things to do while I'm not able to ride. Hoping to get back to that soon. But yeah, thanks for being here. Just wanted to say thank you again. We just hit I think 200 subscribers to the channel, so that's huge. So thank you very much. Like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, let's get into it. All right. Get a little more into the details. So obviously, the Magna is here and it's fine. A week before the accident, I'll put a picture up on the screen right now. I had bought a 2004 Suzuki V strom 650, kind of an adventure touring, sport touring mix-up. You know, we could get into that. Well, we will later. But I had just purchased the bike. I mean, I paid cash for it from locally, obviously used, 2004, had 30, I put the 32,000th mile on it within the week of that I owned it. But about a week after I had got it titled, registered my name, it was insured, everything like that. So I guess we'll get that off the table. Everything's fine. I'm insured, the bike was insured. Friday morning, July the 7th, decided to ride up to work an hour away, Buell Motorcycles, shout out. And I was just north of a small town called Prairieville here in Michigan. You can look it up. It's kind of riding into the Yankee Springs area, south of Grand Rapids, if you know Southwest Michigan at all. We'll get into the kind of like maybe why I shouldn't have been there, which is, that's all just me being silly. But, you know, this is kind of a small 2-lane road, back road, like not traveled that much. It's not necessarily a major thoroughfare. It's a road I've been riding up to work this entire year, basically, whether it's been on the Magna or for the couple times I got to do it on the Suzuki. Anyway, riding up, got all the way up through Prairieville. I'd say that's probably halfway to work. Just get out of town, get back up to about 55 to 60 miles an hour, which was the speed limit for the road, and a deer comes out of the tall grass on the left side of the road. The deer was probably, I mean, I don't think it was a year old, but it wasn't a fawn either. Like, it didn't have spots. We did find the deer afterwards. It is dead. But it came out of the tall grass. Obviously, I had scared it up from it being it was just hiding there. As far as I can recall, it was not standing on the side of the road as I came upon it. And so it probably ran out into the road. I came over. I'll show a picture of the spot from Google Street View, just so you have an idea of kind of the spot that it happened at. And it probably ran out into the road. I would guess. Once again, unfortunately, I don't have video of the accident. Not that I necessarily wanted it or wanted to watch it again, but I'll show you a picture. Anyway, deer runs out from the left side of the road in the tall grass. Couldn't see it until basically it had started running into the road. I would say 30 to 50 feet, maybe a little farther, obviously, just because speed and things like that compress distance a little bit. But it ran out at a time where basically I had zero reaction time. Like, even with covering the brake with 2 fingers like I always kind of do. Things like that. Like, I was attentive. I didn't have music going at the time, which is actually a little odd for me lately. So, like, it wasn't necessarily I was distracted and then all of a sudden there was a deer. I guess that's my argument there. So as far as I can tell, it ran out into the road. Basically, by the time I could react to it, it was standing on the double yellow line, running over the double yellow line, and we were about to meet. I believe it took out my front wheel from me. I did hit it. It was not, I didn't have time to swerve. I didn't swerve, and that's when I went down. I hit the deer. I believe what happened was, I didn't go unconscious, but I believe the front wheel was taken out by the deer. I went over the handlebars, landed on my left shoulder. That's why I think I broke the collarbone. Makes sense to me. Ended up on my back, sliding down the road. Thanks to all my gear, we'll get into that a little bit. Just wanted to show you guys a couple things. Thanks to all my gear, really, like, I came out, I guess what I'm going to call fairly unscathed. I do have a small couple of patches of abrasion on my back, road rash, if you will. I've been wary to call it that just because my gear did so well that, like, that seemed so minor. But I guess road rash, just a tiny little bit on my back from the slide. And then, a tiny spot in my elbow. But slid on my back. Helmet did its job. I didn't even have a headache after this. I'll show you the helmet, some of the other gear. I stood up right after the accident happened. I definitely let out a number of 4-letter words. And then I got my keys off the bike. I opened up the trunk. It was obviously on its side. Called 911 and basically went to the hospital, so on and so forth. The rest is history. And that was the accident. Obviously still processing the whole thing, but like I said, as far as I can tell, there basically was zero chance for me to react to what was happening, and or even if I had time to react, there wasn't going to be enough time to stop in the distance that the deer ran out in front of me, or even potentially swerve on that road, but we can get into that here in a minute. But basically, after the accident, went to the hospital, found out I had a broken left collarbone. I was pretty certain I already knew that on the side of the road. But thank you to all the first responders, the volunteer firefighters. I think it was the Berry County Sheriff. So apologize, I don't have any of your names. If I did, I would reach out and thank you personally. I know I wasn't in that bad of shape, but you guys still came out and made sure I was fine. Thanks, shout out to the ambulance crew that took me to the hospital. Thank you to my mom and my brother for kind of helping with everything. Mom rushing to the hospital even though I was perfectly fine. The trauma crew at the hospital who were in disbelief of how well I did in the crash and were asking what kind of gear I was wearing. So, glad to be here. It was an experience I don't necessarily want to repeat. I am going to be continuing to ride. I guess let's put it that way, or at least that's my mindset for the moment. I'm going to be working through probably more of a mental side of these things once I get back to riding. You know, I don't know what it's going to feel like to get back on the bike at the moment. I would love to. It's a beautiful day right now. I would really love that all this had not happened and I was out riding around on my Suzuki. But anyway, let's get into a little bit about the gear I was wearing. And I just wanted to show you guys a couple things there and encourage you to properly gear up. Alright, I'm going to try to just show you guys some stuff here quick. Sorry if the angle's weird. It's hard for me to show stuff to you guys right now. But anyway, was wearing my helmet, Simpson Speed Bandit. It is DOT, which is basically a joke, and then ECE, the 2205 certification. So it did a miraculous job, I guess I'll say. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see. There's not a ton of damage on the helmet itself, at least visually. I don't think I hit my head directly on anything, which is great. But helmet did a great job. I didn't even have a headache afterwards. So I'm going to chalk that up to the helmet did its job. Simpson Speed Bandit. It's really, honestly, kind of, this is a weird review, but it doesn't have a lot of features, but it's lightweight, it fits my head well, and obviously it works. So, you know, there's more expensive helmets out there, there's cheaper helmets out there that have more features, but for the time being, I'm going to keep the Simpson on my head. I have a new one on the way, don't worry. I'm not going to wear the one I've already crashed. It's going to go up on the shelf for now. This is not the jacket I was wearing. The jacket I was wearing, the whole back of it was gone after I slid. I do have a couple spots of road rash on my back, very small. Like, I mean, I'm wary to call them road rash, but this is basically the same exact jacket, just in a different color that I have. It's a Built Techno 2, I think is the name and model. It's really not a expensive jacket at all. This one I wore for, I don't know, a couple seasons. I like the jacket. It's nice in summer. It's a mesh jacket. It's like abrasion resistant, but obviously it only lasted enough this time around. The whole back of the jacket was gone. The back protector, this one doesn't have a back protector in it, but back protector was basically hanging over my butt like a flap. So it did its job. Like, the jacket's toast. Unfortunately, somewhere in the aftermath, it didn't make it back to me, so I have no idea where that jacket ended up. It would have been nice to have it to show off, but this is a jacket that is meant for motorcycling. It does have some of the armor in it. The armor, I think, probably helps at lower speed than it necessarily did at mine. I can't necessarily say that one way or the other, but the abrasion resistance, I think, is what saved my skin, my butt, literally. So I highly encourage you guys wear something abrasion resistant. I'm going to do a whole video on that, how, like, CE certification and all that stuff, explain it a little bit more, because it's kind of confusing. These are the actual jeans I was wearing during it. My brother and I checked them out, and, like, it's hard for us to see, but, like, there is just a little bit of wear around this pocket, and, like, I don't know if that is paint from the road. Like, these jeans were brand new the day before I was in the wreck. Like, I had not worn them. You can see where I slid in them, but you can barely tell. Like, Scorpion Covert Ultras or something. Unfortunately, I think they're all on, like, closeout right now. So I'm going to probably grab myself at least another pair of these, because these are the singular version. You can kind of see the Kevlar is interwoven to the actual fabric, so they're not as thick. Highly recommended. Like, highly recommended. And the last piece, I guess, really, okay, it is my left one. Wanted to show my boots, Icon Stormhawks. I shouldn't be trying to hold things with my left arm. Sorry. They seem good to go still. Maybe a little bit of stitching there, but it's hard to tell, maybe, but there is just like I slid apparently on my left foot for a little bit on the side. Otherwise, these things held up, I think, even better than I expected them to. My ankles, my feet are fine. No issues there. But the right one is basically brand new. So that's the gear I was wearing. I think next, let's just talk about quickly, just touch base on maybe road strategy of why I was there, when I was there, and maybe how we can do things differently. Alright, let's talk about a little bit of the road strategy, kind of why I was where I was, and just, you know, maybe my thought process going forward. So I typically have been commuting on back roads on my motorcycle. I think more from riding the Magna around, being a 40-year-old bike, like it's not really made to go on the interstate highway, as I would say. Not, I don't mean that it doesn't have enough power. It's plenty of power, but rather like it doesn't have the wind protection, things like that. So I tend to enjoy riding it more back roads, country roads, you know, 2-lane highways, things like that. So I've gotten into the habit of riding kind of through that Yankee Springs area like I was talking about earlier. And I might here just throw up just a couple examples of what I'm talking about. So like the road I was riding on was like a very, I guess I'll say a tight paved 2-lane road. Like it wasn't a back road in the sense that like it hadn't been touched in years, blah blah blah, but it was not the main thoroughfare for the area. It wasn't even a state highway. It was an area that goes to the Yankee Springs recreation area, which is a fun road to ride on, and that's, you know, I think part of the reason I was riding those roads. So like I don't think I did anything wrong. Let me, I guess, maybe preface this the whole before I start getting into this. You know, I could sit here and talk about how, oh, if I left 5 minutes earlier, or maybe if that day I just had decided to drive the car, or all these other things, like, oh, maybe it wouldn't have happened and I'd been making a different video today for you guys. Like, maybe. But I think, you know, the only thing I can maybe argue is just that I've been focusing on getting away from cars and the traffic of the road more than I've been focusing on all the road hazards. Is kind of where I'm thinking in the aftermath of this. I'm going to make some more videos on this, so I'm not going to sit here and talk about it too much. This is more just about the accident and whatnot, but you know, that's why I was riding kind of on a backcountry road. It's because I've been kind of focusing on getting away from the other road hazards. And so, you know, I'm thinking, you know, going forward, I am planning to probably find another V-strom of the same vintage. Funny enough, I have a couple boxes of parts sitting behind me that were supposed to go on the bike. Like, the bike was wrecked before I even got the title in the mail. First time in my life I've ever done anything like that. First time I've ever been in an accident. So, but I think my mindset there is, you know, once I can kind of get back on the road in the saddle again, is I'm probably gonna, it's gonna sound weird, but be more boring. You know, while seeking out those nice back roads on a daily basis, I would love to do it on the dailies, but maybe I should go to a more intermediate road, as I'm going to call it. Once again, I might throw a couple pictures up to just show you like comparison of a picture from my area of what I'm talking about, where you just more cars are traveling on it. You know, the brush and everything is pushed back from the road, or there's more housing and or developed things on the property, so that you're not necessarily right next to the ditch where there's long grass or just woods, which a lot of these roads that I've been riding on have been that way. Don't want to ramble too much about that, but I think, you know, going forward, I'm going to be looking at, you know, how do I choose a route for commuting? Do I just go straight interstate highway all the way there? Would be the quickest. Or, you know, is there a better way to think about that process? Anyway, that's more on the motorcycling side of things. Like I said, I'm going to be making some more videos coming up to talk about that. Hopefully just to keep the content going as well. Might do some product reviews of some of the new gear I'm getting. I've already gotten new jacket, new pants to replace the ones, or replace the jacket that I was wearing, new pants, just because I wanted a matching set for climb gear, climb induction. So look out for that coming. You know, have a couple things I might be able to do to the Magna here in a couple weeks once I can get out of the sling. Try to update you guys and just how I'm doing as well here coming up. And hopefully, I'm hoping before the end of this riding season, at the very least, to be back on the bike. You know, I might cool it on the whole commuting thing for a while. We'll see. But I'd love to be able to find another V-Strom before the end of the year. That was kind of one of my goals this year, was to get another more modern motorcycle, adventure touring motorcycle. That's a big interest that I've been having, you know, ever since getting the Magna, which is a side of motorcycling I love, but it is not necessarily all of the things that I want to do in motorcycling. So I'm rambling a little bit. If you're still here watching this, thank you. Thank you for the support here on YouTube. Thank you for any of the support out, you know, in the world. Thanks to Dad, thanks to Mom, my brother, everybody who's been just keeping an eye on me for the last couple weeks. Thanks to the doctors at the hospital. I know, once again, I didn't come in like super beat up, but at the same time they were very professional, very friendly, very happy that I was doing well. So not out of the woods yet with that stuff, but we're getting there. So I think I'm going to cut myself off here. Like, comment, subscribe if you're still here. Obviously, if you're still here, you're at least somewhat interested in what I'm talking about. So anyway, ride safe, wear your gear, wrench hard, out.